participating in this race throughout the entire field from front to back. And it is a stacked field. It's a who's who. I don't even want to try to pick who's going to win this race.
It was tight in qualifying, and that's what we're going to show you here as we get set to roll some qualifying highlights from this past weekend. Of course, last night was single-car qualifying, and there's an 81 car Jason Frost on the Speedway. Jason, one of the Northern Provincial Pipeline contenders out there in the 81F machine, and laid down a pretty solid lap to get himself inside of the top 10 in the qualifying order, and it was tricky conditions, but there is the pole sitter himself, Brandon Carlson, getting a look at the JR Edgett Fast Time Award check. Daryl Crocker as well in the 84 car. He was out there his first ever super late model race, and he is already putting himself at the top of the field, qualifying in the second position as a redraw coming up, DJ. And quickly before we get into that redraw and go down to Todd Lewis, just explain how that quickly works.
Absolutely, as it is with each and every Northwest Super Late Model Series race. Top 8 quickest in qualifying will go to the redraw, meaning the fastest qualifier will get the first dibs on the redraw. That's going to be Brandon Carlson this evening. We'll work our way all the way back to 8. And kind of mix up the order, kind of throw a wrench in the works, makes it very interesting tonight. It's very cool that race.
And of course, let's go down trackside to Todd Lewis, the third member of our broadcast team.
All right, we've waited long enough. Let's commit to the redraw. The Northwest Super Late Model Series has the top 8 drivers choose their starting position. Okay, Brandon, you waited long enough. What did you choose? Number 1. All right, Brandon Carlson is not going anywhere. What a choice. Okay, Daryl Crocker, you're up next. How lucky are you? 3. Pretty good, pretty good. All right, that's Daryl. All right, let's move down. Kyle Cottom, you're up for the next choice. Third quickest time. Kyle's going to reach in, no peeking. 6. Okay, well, you know, not that bad. 150 laps is a long way, long way. Thanks, Kyle. All right. Daryl Midgley is up next. Shake him up, reach in, try to pick a good one. 4. That's pretty good for Daryl. Not bad. Right in your spot. Jason Frost is up next. Still a space on the front row available. All right. Number 2 for Jason. All right, Jay, way to go. Mike Haslam is going to choose next. Reaching in, feeling lucky. What's he going to find? 5. All right. Gained a spot. All right, Chris, you're up next. Couple more left. Chris Preston. Reach in. How do you feel? 8. Sorry. It's only one spot. It's only one spot. All right. Christopher Couch will make the last selection. And there we go. Number 7. The 2 Chris's will change spots. All right. We've completed the redraw. We'll reorder the cars. We'll get set. Cole and DJ will toss it back to you. Getting set for 150 laps here at Saratoga Speedway.
And man, what an exciting 150 laps it's going to be. And how about an all Northern Provincial Pipelines front row to get this thing rolling here for the Kennedy Classic at Saratoga Speedway. You're not going to miss a second of the action. We are going to get to our first commercial break of the evening and then come back and get things started for 150 laps at Saratoga Speedway in the inaugural Kennedy Classic.
Did you know Arctic Spas is more than just hot tubs? We've got a wide selection of all-weather pools, saunas, and cold plunges to complete your personal spa experience. Arctic Spas, whatever your wellness, find it at Arctic Spas, Vancouver Island.
Many families still want traditional funerals, but a lot also want the celebration of life, and that is what we designed this facility for. Families that want to pre-plan can call us. When paid in advance, it protects against inflation, and families are always grateful.
Your local Tim's is hiring. And here, you can build confidence, level up your skills, and get support for your future. Apply today and take the first step into what comes next.
No one should have to wait weeks while in pain. That's why we focus on getting you into one of our clinics in a timely manner. All of our clinics are locally owned, and we care about our patients because Quantum begins with community.
Take control of your health and well-being with Basics and Beyond Wellness, the destination medical, aesthetic, and therapeutic wellness clinic in Victoria and Parksville. Science-backed treatments, real results, incontinence, male and female sexual wellness, discoloration and scars, hair restoration, facial rejuvenation, injury repair, IV therapy, hormone health, and TMS therapy. Visit basicsandbeyondwellness.com today.
CHEK's back-to-back comedy hour, featuring Comedy in 5 and Snowed In Comedy Tour.
You guys ready to get the show started?
Maybe we'll both witness a miracle tonight.
But that's because our crazy is marketable.
We earn a living by making people laugh, but touring Canada in winter is no joke. Follow us as we explore 5 unforgettable stops on this wild ride.
Don't miss CHEK's back-to-back comedy hour, featuring Comedy in 5 and Snowed In Comedy Tour, tonight at 9 and 9:30 on CHEK.
Welcome back to Saratoga Speedway in Black Creek, British Columbia, Canada, as there is the field lined up and ready to go. Brandon Carlson drawing the number 1 slot. We've just got a few more things left to run. One of those things, the national anthems tonight. Let's throw back down to Todd Lewis, who is trackside with our anthem singer.
Race fans, would you please rise, remove your caps, and join Sabrina Spenceley in the American and Canadian national anthems.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Sabrina Prinsley. Thank you. All right, fans, who's ready for racing? Who's ready for racing? Who's ready for racing? Who's ready for racing? Okay, you got to help me out. Counting down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drivers, start your engine!
Fired, and we are ready to go as we get set for 150 action-packed laps here at Saratoga Speedway. The Comox Valley Dodge Charger pace car lined up and ready to go as you hear the sound of all of these Northwest super late model competitors getting ready to roll off for 150 laps. And DJ, what are you thinking as we get set to get this thing rolling?
Well, I tell you what, Cole, 150 laps, we got 12 cars out there. Definitely going to give some drivers at the back of the pack time to get to the front of the pack. I was talking to Brandon Carlson earlier today in the pit area during my pit walk, and he says it doesn't matter to him where he's going to start this race. It could be front, middle, or the back of the pack. He is so confident in his car that he can make his way to the front. Just happens to be he did draw the number 1 chip and is going to start on the pole tonight.
And we mentioned all that lap money too. The Northern Provincial Pipelines lap money was mentioned here at the racetrack just a few moments before we went to the broadcast. Laps 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, 149. The leader of that getting a $1,000 bonus, and that is in U.S. dollars, which, as we were talking earlier, kind of multiplies once you're up on this side of the border, especially with such a great purse for this event.
It definitely does, Cole. And you know what? A lot of money being dumped into this race. We love it. $10,000 to win, $5,000 for second, $3,000 for third. It just keeps on going on and on and on down from there. Lots of money up for grabs, like I said. Somebody's going to be pretty wealthy at the end of this race.
It definitely is going to be no small purse at the end of this event for the inaugural Kennedy Classic. Field just getting into their correct positions, which is where they were at the result of that chip draw with the Comox Valley Dodge pace car. As we mentioned at the front of the field, it's an all Northern Provincial Pipelines front row. Brandon Carlson going to be the pole sitter. He was the quick qualifier when the JR Edgett Memorial Pole Award last night in qualifying. Jason Frost, his NPP teammate, going to be the outside of the front row.
And you tell you what, you want to continue with some teammates here. Look at row number 2. Daryl Crocker on the inside of row number 2, along with Daryl Midgley on the outside of row number 2.
Then moving back to the third row, Mike Haslam alongside of Kyle Cottom. And Kyle, another driver, one to watch here as you see again, cars just getting into position, getting ready as the official flagman for the Northwest Super Late Model Series up in the flag stand, and we'll continue on with the driver lineup.
Row number 4 on the inside is going to be the 33 of Christopher College, making his 54th consecutive start with the Northwest Super Late Model Series, a series record that started back in 2018 at Evergreen Speedway. Alongside of him, the number 28 of Chris Preston.
Continuing to move back through the field, 72C car machine. That is Spencer Carlson in that 72C. He had to unfortunately go to essentially a backup car. Look at Chris Preston currently on the broadcast. Chris going to be making his way up from the 8th starting position. Jeff Robinson alongside of him as the field going to get the double it up sign at the start-finish line as they cross underneath the flag stand.
6th and final row on the inside is going to be the number 3 of Andy Beeman out of Selah, Washington. He finished in the runner-up spot in the Tri-City County Short Track Series, along with David Smith in the 05.
And that will round out your Kennedy Classic field as they come off in turn number 4. The Dodge Charger pace car leads them to the 1 to green sign. 1 lap until we kick off the inaugural Kennedy Classic here at Saratoga Speedway with Brandon Carlson, the track record holder in super late model competition, starting on pole alongside of Jason Frost on the outside of the front row and getting through the dogleg. DJ, bring us to the green.
Jim Kellogg's going to look him over this time. I tell you what, let's get ready to kick some asphalt because it is time to turn and burn off of turn number 4. Green flags in the air. We are racing here at Saratoga Speedway.
Field files its way into turn number 1, and Brandon Carlson going to emerge as the early race leader with Daryl Crocker moving up into the 2nd position. Jason Frost sitting in 3rd, and Daryl Midgley now in 4th as they come by to the start-finish line to complete lap 1.
Good battle shaping up for the 5th spot now, and side-by-side battle, wheel-to-wheel battle between Michael Haslam and Kyle Cottom. They've been side-by-side for the last 2 laps of this race as they head back into turns 3 and 4.
There is Mike Haslam to the inside of Kyle Cottom as they come down the front straight, still side by side as everybody tries to jockey for position. Talking with a lot of these drivers earlier on, they are really keen about trying to save tires and save positions as Andy Beeman trying to work his way up from the tail end of the field in the 3 car coming off of turn number 4. It's still Brandon Carlson showing the way.
Talking about drivers that are pretty confident. Talked to Andy Beeman earlier today. He says, yeah, he had a very poor qualifying effort, but he feels confident at the back of the pack. He's going to make his way to the front of the field, but at the end of this race, 150 laps in.
And again, just settling into this race pace as you get a look from the infield here at Saratoga Speedway. Darrell Crocker making his first ever super late model start that we mentioned in the qualifying highlights earlier on in the broadcast, doing an admirable job so far. It was quickest in the happy 5-minute practice session leading into this 150 lapper and keeping pace right with Brandon Carlson at the head of the field as Daryl Midgley continues to pressure Jason Frost in the 81F and 81Ms respectively. 81's all over the racetrack, DJ.
We sure do. We have our work cut out for us tonight here, Cole, as we are now 6 laps into the books here as they cross the stripe, and you see Darrell Crocker now inching a little bit closer to the rear bumper of your leader, Brandon Carlson. And then you have the 281s there, Jason Frost and Daryl Midgley. Kyle Cottom back there in the 5th. He is looking on. That's your top 5 early on in this race.
So Brandon Carlson, we mentioned he was content to stay wherever he redrew at the front of the field. And for this one, to start on pole, it's continued to be the theme of this weekend with that 81 car is Midgley and Frost going into turn number 3 right now. They are battling nose to tail for position. As they come off at turn number 4, there you can see field flashing by, but Midgley and Frost almost making contact just out of the shot that last time by and continuing to have a great battle for the 3rd position.
Crocker and Carlson now setting a pretty good pace, putting some daylight between them and 3rd place there, which is Jason Frost, who's got his hands full there with Daryl Midgley. Kyle Cottom back there in 5th. He's got a front row seat to that battle in front of him as they shake it out through the dog leg, heading back into 3 and 4.
So it is still Brandon Carlson trying to go wire to wire in this one as they come down the front straight. Darrell Crocker still locked to his rear bumper as they, as you mentioned, setting an early torrid pace right off the front of this one. No real saving to be had as Crocker took a look to the outside of the 81 of Carlson. Couldn't quite make it work as it is super flat through 3 and 4 as we've had the chance to look at this racetrack. And being at racetracks throughout the Northwest, DJ, this one definitely stands out with the layout.
Oh, it is very challenging. It's a short track. Again, that battle between Frost and Midgley's not going anywhere. Midgley that time took a peek to the inside of Frost going to the dog leg. He felt better of it. Fell back in line, but yeah. 3/8 mile tri-oval with a dog leg on the back there. Not a lot of room to breathe out there. You got to make your move. And again, there goes the lunge by Midgley to the inside. And this time he's going to make it stick. He's going to try to bring Kyle Cottom with him through 3 and 4. As Midgley now up into P3, and there is Kyle Cottom into P4.
So Cottom again out of the shot there as we stick with the 2 leaders, moving up into 4th behind Daryl Midgley. So new race position for Midgley running back in the 3rd spot. Kyle Cottom in the 4, coming by into turn number 1 and about half a straightaway behind the current battle for the race lead at the moment, with Daryl Midgley again up into that 3rd position. Jason Frost falling back into 5th, and kind of in one fell swoop, the 81F dropping back through the field. It is still the 81C at the head of the pack.
Well, Daryl Midgley that last time around, he just set the fastest lap of the race thus far, so you have a feeling that Midgley was being held up just a little bit by Jason Frost. Midgley now has got clear track in front of him. Let's see if he can gain on the top 2, which is Brandon Carlson and Darrell Crocker. Kyle Cottom not too far behind. He's in P4.
And we see by this wide shot, Midgley now clear, caught him up into the 4th position, and Midgley starting to reel in the leaders, but I know it was pretty much up even to lap 75 that Carlson was saying he was going to have to try and save, and with this flat racetrack trying to apply all the power that these super late models have versus the traditional BC late models, which is more of a restricted platform, is going to be a challenge, especially over the course of 150 laps in the tire wear situation.
This is now starting to pick up right around 5th there with Jason Frost, Mike Haslam, along with Chris Preston, Christopher Kolsch, and a host of others there. And oh boy, we got trouble. It looks like Darrell Crocker. Something amiss on that machine. He's going to come down to the front stretch and bring it to a stop there, just at the entrance of the pit area. Caution flag coming out there on lap number 19.
Just saw a flicker of flame as Darrell Crocker went into turn number 3 in the 84 car. And unfortunately, coming to a stop just at the head of the emergency entrance. Crocker immediately climbing out of the race car as that definitely looked terminal with oil in the headers and a flash fire. The crew looking underneath of the hood of the LD Industries Dodge Charger and the fire safety team going underneath of the hood of Crocker's car. So a very tough break for Daryl Crocker in that 84 machine as the first yellow of this Kennedy Classic comes out on lap number 18 of 150, and the helmet already coming off for the driver of the 84 machine down there, who was running in second position up until the time of the yellow.
Yeah, definitely Daryl Crocker, who actually timed in second quick last night. That was a show in itself as Brandon Carlson beat out Daryl Crocker for that top spot by 4/1000ths of a second. A little early on for Daryl Crocker to exit this race, only 18 laps in. Boy, something definitely mechanically going wrong with that number 84.
And safety team doing a quick check of the racetrack over in 3 and 4, just making sure that nothing was laid down on the racing surface itself. Daryl very wisely pulling down to the infield and getting off of the racing line below the white line here in the front straight. Very wide front straight at Saratoga Speedway. And unfortunately, those issues befalling Daryl Crocker, and looking like that is going to be terminal and end the night of the Northern Provincial Pipelines machine, as it'll get pushed into the infield with the Saratoga Speedway safety side by side. But there is the man who has led every single one of the 18 laps so far, Brandon Carlson, out in front of the field as BJ Vell going to push the 84 car into the pit area. One of the safety team members here, as we'll see if potentially Todd Lewis, once Daryl gets back into the pits, can have a quick look, as we'll see if we can get a replay. Yeah, you can see DJ some serious smoke off of that race car.
Coming up at turn number 4, it just went kaput on him, and an early exit for Daryl Crocker. But I tell you what, Daryl Midgley, he liked to see that yellow. He was actually gaining some car lengths on the top two of Carlson and Crocker. That's going to put him right up there with your leader, Brandon Carlson, on this restart. Double foul restarts with the Northwest Super Late Model Series all the way to the end of the race.
So Crocker getting pushed into the pit area as our pit cam capturing all of that action. And getting ready to see, just what that crew can do, as it is still kind of smoldering at the moment. As we'll see, looks like Todd Lewis kind of getting set up down there in pit lane. We'll see if we can get a word here with Todd Lewis and to what he can see with the 84. So Todd just trying to take a look and see and gather what the situation is. Is that car just rolling into the pits pretty freshly as Daryl Crocker walking over and having a chat with some of his crew members here, and looks like walking over to Todd Lewis.
Guys, I caught up with Daryl Crocker. First and most importantly, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. A little bit of disappointment there. We just had a parts failure. It looks like maybe we had an oil line break or something like that, but was having the time of my life before that. Big nationally televised race, and me chasing my best buddy there, Brandon Carlson, and father-in-law behind me. You can't script that much better, so it's unfortunate that I'm not going to get to finish the job, but they knew we were here this weekend, and it's a brand new car, first race, so we're pretty proud of our effort.
Well done, Daryl. Congratulations on a great event today, too.
Thanks very much, Todd. Appreciate you being here.
So Todd Lewis down there, thanks to Todd, talking with pretty dejected Daryl Crocker, who did see the positives in it, we got to race with his good buddy Brandon up at the front, the national televised broadcast, get himself some good TV time for the 18 laps that he was in the race, and just show how quick that car had the potential to be.
Yeah, I tell you, I think Crocker did have something for Brandon Carlson, but kind of wonder if Brandon Carlson is kind of up there saving his stuff, kind of playing the waiting game. It's definitely early on in this race, only 18 laps in. And you kind of wonder for the rest of the field, who is actually kind of waiting, saving their stuff for the end of this race. Some different strategies in these long-distance races. We have 150 laps here tonight. But again, that's going to put Daryl Midgley, Kyle Cottom, Jason Frost up there as well, along with Michael Haslam. So kind of changing things up there throughout the entire field. One of the rules with the Northwest Super Late Model Series is that the leader, and only the leader, does have the choice of going high or low on row number 1. Other than that, everybody has to fall in line where they have to be.
So getting that set and getting ready for a potential restart here with the Northwest Super Late Model Series is looks like crew's still out on the back straight through the dogleg, trying to see if they can put down some of the speedy dry through 3 and 4, and again trying to potentially see if there is any fluid that is necessary to try and have a cleanup here at Saratoga Speedway. But DJ, what have you seen from the first 18 or so laps?
Well, it looked like Brandon Carlson and Daryl Crocker was actually leaving the field until Daryl Midgley was able to get around Jason Frost and break free from him. And he was actually gaining on the top 2. He brought Kyle Cottom with him. but I'm watching, again, Daryl Crocker down there in the pit area. Something, whatever it was, must have been pretty catastrophic as the safety crew was down there spraying the engine down. So again, 18 laps into this race here. Brandon Carlson is in control of this race. He also mentioned earlier today that he does want to control this race if he does start up front, and that's what is happening right now. And we'll see if that happens for the next 130 some odd laps.
So it looks like the red flag going to come out here is looks like potentially some cleanup necessary with that fluid being put down as the Saratoga Speedway sweep crew rolling in, getting ready to help with that cleanup. With that being said, we're going to take this time to take a quick commercial break here on our broadcast. You'll be back and won't miss a second of the action as cleanup from Daryl Crocker's blown motor here at the Kennedy Classic.
Did you know Arctic Spas is more than just hot tubs? We've got a wide selection of all-weather pools, saunas, and cold plunges to complete your personal spa experience. Arctic Spas, whatever your wellness, find it at Arctic Spas, Vancouver Island.
Power your future with Ocean Volt. We're leading the charge with our fully electric fleet and tools, providing solar panels, EV chargers, and battery storage, keeping your home powered day and night. Ocean Volt, your clean energy experts.
Morning, James.
A good day's work means helping Dana find everything he needs for his customer's new fence, checking off the list for Marcel's new paint project, and assisting Brent to stock plumbing parts for his apartment complex. Being independent means listening to our customers and stocking those hard-to-find products. For those who wish they'd come here first, Castle Building Centers, proudly independent.
Take your comfort to new heights with Mountain Peak Heating and Cooling. With professional heat pump installs, dependable service, and in-house design, we are local experts keeping you comfortable through every season. Your home deserves comfort that steps above the rest. Mountain Peak Heating and Cooling.
Presenting a whole new line of more powerful, more fuel-efficient tractors from Coyote. It may not be the kind your grandfather bought 60 years ago, but it's probably the kind he'd buy today. Test drive one at your local Coyote dealer.
Vancouver Island's locally owned 5-paw Coyote tractor dealer at 2928 Sprott Road, Duncan.
The mess never stops. Whenever stains strike, I strike back. So I stay alert, ready to safely remove them the first time. OxyClean, a force against stains.
Travel reminds us that there's no one way to live well. Every culture finds its own rhythm, its own joy, and seeing that up close changes how we view our own lives.
Bon appetit. Health Explored, Saturdays at 8 on CHEK.
Join CHEK News political correspondent Rob Shaw on Political Capital, brought to you by Uber Canada. Learn how Uber and Mad Canada are working to reduce impaired driving at uber.com/home soon.
Well, welcome back to Saratoga Speedway. Cleanup work still ongoing from Daryl Crocker's car, and sounded like a potential power steering line coming off of the Northern Provincial Pipelines, LD Industries number 84 Dodge, to put us under this red flag. Fast and Furious. First 18 laps, though, DJ.
Well, yeah, it looked like it was going to be the Brandon Carlson and Daryl Crocker show as they were kind of leaving town and putting some distance on the rest of the field. But Daryl Midgley kind of had a feeling he was maybe being held up there by Jason Frost. Jason Frost actually got passed by a couple of cars, and it was falling back in the clutches of the rest of the field. But I kind of wonder with him if he's kind of saved his stuff for the end of the race.
And I know we've seen some great shots. Unfortunately, the sweeper on the racetrack's never a great shot. As we work through getting the cleanup work, Saratoga Speedway safety team, though, hard at work. But saw some great shots overhead of the facility here at Saratoga Speedway, and just what a transformation it has been. You see some photos up here on the screen now. The racetrack back in the 80s, it was originally opened in 1969, closed for a period. Back in the 90s there with, I believe, Jason Bolio on racetrack, and even up until a few years ago with some modifieds on the racetrack there, but with the Leighton family taking over in 2020 of ownership, embarking on a huge renovation project on this speedway, and just turning this racetrack into one of the top facilities in the Pacific Northwest and beyond as well with Speedway RV. And again, the RV campsite that is on track, which is completely full and creates a really cool race time atmosphere here, DJ.
Well, you and I talked earlier today, Cole, and, we got some tracks across the country that are oddly shaped. Saratoga Speedway is no different than that. It's a 3/8 mile. You guys call it the tricky triangle. You got the dog leg on the backstretch there heading into 3 and 4. Personally, I like challenging. I like odd. I like it all. And tonight so far, it is presenting its challenges for the rest of the drivers, looks like.
Here's a quick look at some of the early stages of this race. Mike Haslam, Kyle Cottam making moves early. Kyle eventually getting ahead of the 22 car as the field kind of settling into a race pace, and there is exactly how it was for the first 18 laps. Brandon Carlson and Darrell Crocker running pretty much nose to tail at the front of the field. Darrell Midgley able to move up into third. That'll get elevated up into second for this restart as they were running away with the field and everybody kind of fighting to get those initial positions. And unfortunately, things ending with Darrell Crocker with the power steering line coming off of the 84 car and things getting a little hot under the hood. Darrell able to get it stopped and to the aid of the safety team just in the nick of time to get that car and the fire put out. Says still with some cleanup work to do. Going to get ready to refire the field here momentarily is the Dodge Charger pace car in front of the pack. And just like that, red flag will be lifted and the yellow lights will come on back around Saratoga Speedway with 18 laps in this 150-lap affair in the books. There's Danny Cave from Comox Valley Dodge behind the wheel of the Comox Valley Dodge Charger pace car with Brandon Carlson leading the field to the green. And, Brandon, he's kind of had this air of confidence about him. He mentioned going into the year he always had his own equipment. Dwight Kennedy from Northern Provincial Pipelines always helping him out. But this year, the first chance that he has had to run a full NPP race car. And these are two very beautiful pieces out at the front of the field currently, DJ.
It certainly is. And we've seen these cars come down to the States in the past with Brandon Carlson. Brandon Carlson, he comes down to Wenatchee every so often, turns in a great performance down there. And, of course, here in his one of his home tracks here, Brandon Carlson is out in front and leading the way.
And unfortunately here at Saratoga Speedway, we lost a member of the racing community just a few months ago that unfortunately passed away all too soon. Rod Rendell, who was integral in racing in the Northwest Sprint Tour, as well as helping here around the facility and with the Northern Provincial Pipelines team. Unfortunately lost his battle with cancer on April 9th of 2026. And we want to give a shout out to Rod, his family who are watching the broadcast here at the racetrack as well, and wish them nothing but the best moving forward and have fond memories of Rod Rendell as we continue to race on in the memory of Rod. And the field getting ready to grid her up into 2x2 formation at the flag stand, getting the signal to make their choice of what lane they want to restart here as Brandon Carlson going to lead them back.
Brandon Carlson did choose the low line here. Is he one only driver that can choose throughout the entire field, being the leader of the race? So he did choose low. That's going to put Darrell Midgley up high on the outside of him in row number 1. That's going to be Kyle Cottam, along with Jason Frost there in row number 2. Michael Haslam there with the number 28 of Chris Preston there in row number 3.
So getting set as the field comes by the start-finish line. Pace car going to duck off to the safety of the infield. And a look at your field. Only one car out of the race. That is Darrell Crocker, still very early in this 150-lap main event. Is Brandon Carlson going to get ready to lead the field back to the green with Darrell Midgley on the outside of the front row. And we are green once again, but that was a little bit of a jump from the 81 of Midgley on the outside of the front row.
Well, let's see if they're going to let that one go. A little bit of contact that time up in turns 1 and 2, heading through the dog leg between Carlson and Midgley. As they come back around, and caution flag going to fly just as we kind of speculated.
Yeah, they did not let that one go, as Midgley was pretty much half a car length in front of Carlson, but the KG veteran trying to take advantage of things at the head of the field as Midgley and them will back up 2x2 and get ready to try it again.
Got to be side-by-side dead even going through the restart zone, the Nautical Marine restart zone, as the field's going to be given the one to go here at the line. And already tricks being played, mind games being played, just 18 laps into this race here, Cole.
And the two teammates, Darrell Midgley, no slouch. First time we had a televised race here on Vancouver Island was at Western Speedway for the Canada 200 back in 2020. These two were in the dirt, door banging each other with 5 laps to go. So no love lost between the teammates up at the front of the field. Is attempt number 2 at going green. This one looks like it's going to go off.
Heading back into turns 1 and 2 on this restart. Oh, boy. Carlson got a little sideways that time. Going through 1 and 2. That's going to open the door for Kyle Cottom now to get into the runner-up spot, getting by Daryl Midgley. Midgley back into third. Haslam's got his hands full there with a 28 of Chris Preston.
And that was not what Midgley wanted to see. Midgley wanted to race Carlson or at least be able to tuck back in line. Now he has to work to get back in front of the 4 car of Kyle Cottom as the 33 machine. Christopher Kolsch making his way through the field with Andy Beeman as well, making a little bit of contact with Frost as the field works its way down the front straight. Jeff Robinson around in the 72, and the yellow flag will fly.
Yeah, Jeff Robinson there, the back of the pack there, kind of a little bit loose coming up at turn number 4, and caution flag going to fly again right around that lap 19-20 mark. Second caution of the race here.
So yellow flag coming out again here with 2 laps in the book since the previous yellow, and the classic phrase of cautions breeding cautions continues as Jeff Robinson, who is running at the back of the field for the veteran racer from Victoria, able to get that car back up and running in the Ford Fusion. And here comes Brandon Carlson in the field, the pace car back out onto the racetrack to pick up your field as the yellow flag waving once again. Kyle Cottom this time, though, going to be in second for the restart. Could shake things up, and who knows where Daryl Midgley's going to line up as well. That'll be another key factor.
Yeah, interesting restart that last time there, Cole, as they head down into turn number 1. Carlson got a little bit loose that time. Somehow was able to gather it back up, and in the midst of all that, Cottom was able to get by Midgley, getting him to the number 2 spot. And we'll see if Cottom's got anything now for Brandon Carlson as your leader.
Taking a look, and man, you saw just how sideways that Carlson's car got, and a great catch by Brandon to keep that thing pointing in the right direction.
Kind of wonder if there may be a little bit of help on that one as well by Cottom, but needless to say, we're going to try this again. Lap 20 into the books. We still have 130 to go. We could have put Kyle Cottom now on the outside of Brandon Carlson on row number 1. We'll see how this works.
So we'll see what Cottom can do, as DJ mentioned, switching things up. Mike Haslam taking the outside of that second row. In the 22 car, another veteran racer here on Vancouver Island, a 4-time Wilrock non-wing sprint car champion here on Vancouver Island, which was the premier non-wing series here in British Columbia for back previously or so, 10 or so years ago, as the 33 of Christopher Kolsch on the inside of row number 3 alongside of Jason Frost, getting ready for the restart, DJ.
Heading towards the restart zone, the Nautical Marine restart zone this time, 20 laps down off of turn number 4. Green flag back in the air. We are underway again.
Side-by-side contact all the way down the front straight pretty much, but Carlson able to get out in front as Midgley now back to the inside of Cottom down through the dog leg and into 3 and 4. Midgley now up into the second spot with Kyle Cottom back into third and Haslam settling into fourth.
Yeah, Midgley that time returned the favor back to Kyle Cottom. Cottom was able to get by Midgley on the previous restart as Midgley was able to get back by Cottom, put him back up in the P2. Good battle going on right around the number 5 spot there between Frost and Christopher Kolsch.
So it is the 2 NPP Dodges at the front of the field with Cottom now settling back. You can see just a little bit of the donut mark on the 4 car as Cottom trying to settle in line, reel in top 3, running away as they come off at turn number 4 with Brandon Carlson showing the way and showing a little bit of a scuff mark on the front fender of his 81C Dodge Charger as Daryl Midgley not fading, and he's one guy that maybe he's not going to qualify great, but once he's got that carrot dangling out in front of him, he is up on the wheel and showing that as the top 3 continue to pull away.
That's right, top 3 there of Carlson, Midgley, and Cottom. They're putting some distance between themselves. In 4th place, Mike Haslam, he's all alone. Back there, the battle's on right now between Jason Frost and Christopher Kolsch. Andy Beeman also going to poke his nose in the business as well as we come across the line with 25 laps in the books.
So it is Brandon Carlson continuing to show the way down the back straight away with the 81M of Daryl Midgley. Midgley trying to put the pressure on, and the top 3 running nose to tail. It has not been the save-it pace that Brandon Carlson was maybe expecting as he continues to get challenged at the head of the field, and it has all been the 81C, the 81M right there. And as, again, Mike Haslam able to keep the 81F of Jason Frost at bay as the field settles in. And this is kind of the race pace territory where we see how the race is going to dictate itself and how it lines itself up for that final run to the flag.
Watching at lap times right now, 15.4 second laps right now by Carlson, Midgley, and Cottom. They are actually setting a toward pace as we have the 2 U.S. drivers going at it back there in spot number 6 between Kolsch and Andy Beeman.
Yeah, they're battling coming down the front straight as Beeman continuing to take a look to the inside of Kolsch and poke a nose in there as they make their way off of turn number 2. Leaders coming off of turn number 4. So Kolsch and the 33 machine and the 3 of Beeman, here they come down the front straight as they work their way into 1. And there's a look. They have sorted themselves out, but again, the man at the front has been that 81 car and continuing to dominate. And we could see lap traffic starting to come into play here in the next few laps, DJ, something that we haven't seen with that short green flag run that we had to kick us off.
Brandon Carlson right now putting a little bit of distance between himself and second place. Darrell Midgley caught him right there, keeping pace with Midgley there in front of him. Then there's the battle between Haslam and Frost. That's the battle for the 4th spot. Oh, boy, contact that time between Kolsch and Beeman going through turn 4.
Just caught a shot of that on the front straight cam as they make their way, and now Beeman will make them way to the inside of Kolsch. Spencer Carlson trying to set him up as Kolsch trying to get back in line. The Iron Man for the Northwest Super Late Model Series. But up front, still your top 3 remaining unchanged. Now Carlson starting to stretch his advantage just a little bit over Midgley, who is maybe trying to play catch-up with the race car that's not quite as good as Carlson's, but still keeping pace with Cottam right there as well. The question is going to be who's got the tires at the end of this one to carry it all the way through.
Haslam and Frost back there in 4th and 5th. They are watching the top 3 kind of drive away into the sunset right now, and so they want to try to maybe not let them check out too far as, again, 81 of Midgley now closing back in on your leader, Brandon Carlson.
Getting a look down the front straight shot at the leaders as they slowly start to reel in the tail end of the field. Jeff Robinson, David Smith going to be at the tail end of that battle. Andy Beeman has been solidly working his way up through the field. And there, again, pretty much a half racetrack gap back to the battle for the 4th and 5th position that Mike Haslam currently has handily a solid 3 or 4 car length cushion over that. Is Midgley taking a look to the inside, but Carlson definitely better off at 2.
Back in the pack, there's Chris Preston putting the move on Christopher Kolsch. That is right there, the battle for right around the number 8 spot right there as Preston gets on by. And you mentioned the front of the field starting to catch the back of the field, and at 15.4 second laps, they're going to catch them in a hurry.
They are definitely ripping around Saratoga Speedway at the moment, as it is the 81C, again with that lucky chip draw, continuing to dominate this race as it has been 2 anxious restarts that maybe got the anxiety level ramped up a little bit for Brandon Carlson with contact with Cottam, and then as well a moment going into turn number 1, but pretty much as soon as it's been green flag, it's been smooth sailing at the front.
Kyle Cottam now in 3rd, starting to lose touch with the top 2 as we look at that battle right there for 4th, and it's a good one there between Haslam, Frost, Beeman, and Carlson.
Yeah, definitely a close battle for the battle for 5th, which is currently about to come off at turn number 4. There they come with the 22 of Haslam, the 81 of Frost, the 3 of Beeman, 72 of Spencer Carlson, who's running pretty much in a backup car. And as we mentioned, it's been the 2 Port City Dodges out in front, continuing to dominate and stretch their advantage. But again, that's pretty much the best battle in the racetrack is for that 4th through 5th position.
Boy, I watched that time going into turns 3 and 4. Beeman just about knocked the back door off there of the number 81F of Jason Frost, as Frost is trying to keep him and Spencer Carlson at bay right now, but he's got Haslam in front of him, so he's got to do a little bit of driving out through the front windshield and do a little driving through the rear view mirror.
And Kyle Cottam, as we mentioned, starting to lose touch as Cottam was pretty much able to hot lap the 4 car very well with some quick laps, but unfortunately it looks like as the run goes on, the fall off continues for that 4 machine. But again, we're going to get some lap traffic here, and this is a fairly one-groove racetrack through 3 and 4 at least, and could lead to some interesting moments in 1 and 2 with such a wide entry to the corner at this racetrack.
Brandon Carlson's going to, oh, we got there a little spin there by Chris Preston as Jason Robinson going to come to a halt there to keep from getting into him as the caution flag is going to fly on lap number 44. Let's see, Preston was right there in the middle of that torrid battle there with Haslam and Frost and Beeman and Carlson, so kind of wonder what happened right there. As you can see, kind of Old Faithful coming out the off the hood there of Preston's car.
Yeah, she is running hot for the aggressive towing number 28 machine as Preston able to get that car back up and running, and field will cycle around under yellow, get back into the correct restart lineup as once again we got the yellow flag coming out here on lap 42, this 150 lapper, and the pace car will pick up your race leaders.
Boy, Brandon Carlson, Daryl Midgley was running away from the entire field here. Kyle Cottom, we already mentioned he was kind of falling off the pace. That's going to give him a chance to close back in. The rest of the field's going to close back in as well.
And just waiting here for the field to try and pick up that pace car on the front straight as it is over in a turn number 3 at the moment. So Brandon Carlson and that crew having to try and catch up with the pace car at the moment. Preston, though, rather pulling into the pit area in the 28 car after starting in the 8th position for Preston as he'll roll it, by the looks of things, straight into the pit box. So tough break for Chris Preston in that number 28 car for the racer out of Abbotsford, BC, over in the mainland, making the tow over, and we thank Chris for coming over and supporting the Kennedy Classic.
So we're going to go ahead and bunch the field back up again. Haslam, and along with Frost, Beeman, Spencer Carlson. That big deficit they had before that caution flag came out, it's going to be erased. You kind of wonder if Carlson, Midgley, and Cottom, they're sitting too fast of a pace. They still have a little over 100 laps to go in this one.
Getting a look down there at Chris Preston in the pit area and the crew. As we mentioned, the car is still overheating, trying to wipe the windshield off. He's going to make an attempt to go back out onto the racetrack by the looks of things, but still running hot in the 28 car. Chris Preston, who will make his way back over to the racetrack entrance on the front straight and try to rejoin this Kennedy Classic field for the restart.
Still have 108 laps to go in this one here. Plenty of time for shakers and movers, people from the back of the pack to try to make their way forward. You still kind of got to wonder who is saving their stuff for the end of this race. Haslam, wonder if he's doing it. Frost, Andy Beeman, Spencer Carlson. Still kind of too early to tell right now, but the top 3 up front, they are setting a very, very quick pace, and we'll see if they can hold on for the next, like I said, 108 laps.
And that is 108 laps as we have, again, had a little bit of a stop-start first half to this race, but it has been the 281 car setting a torrid pace. Brandon Carlson, you can see a little scuff mark in the right front, is again getting told to double it up, pick your lane at the front straight, and just look at that. It's going to be Daryl Midgley on the outside of the front row as the final car, Chris Preston, passes by the start-finish line. Let's see the field as they come off of turn number 4, thanks to the West Shore Towing Kennedy Classic lap counter showing, again, the 42 laps out of 150 completed as we get a view from turn number 4 up on the hill here at Saratoga Speedway and getting ready for the restart. What tricks does Daryl Midgley have up his sleeve as he goes alongside of the 81C of Brandon Carlson?
Going to go ahead and give this a try again here with 42 laps in the books. It's going to be Brandon Carlson, Daryl Midgley in the front row to lead the pace. Back here to the start-finish line to get this one going again. Off of turn number 4, green flag back in the air. We're underway again.
Carlson with the advantage. Midgley gets into the back of him, potentially got him sideways as caught him. Drag racing with him for position. Mike Haslam going to try and stick his nose in this battle as well as they're side by side with Frost and Beeman coming off of the front straight as Brandon Carlson trying to run away from the field as Cottom gets up to second again.
Oh boy, beating and banging going on in the middle of the field there with Frost and Beeman. They're going at it. Beeman doesn't want to let it go. Frost is going to force the issue, go back into 3 and 4 and poke his nose in there. And they're still beating and banging off at turn number 4.
Yeah, trading positions back and forth. You can see the tail end of that battle as they make their way into turn number 1. Beeman and Frost continuing to go at it as it is Brandon Carlson out in front. Mike Haslam in the 22 car up into the 4th spot and trying to track down these leaders as Kyle Cottom up into 2nd, but that is allowing the 81 of Carlson to get away from the battle for 2nd and 3rd places and allowing Haslam to try and close in.
A couple of interesting exchanges in the last 2 restarts between Cottom and Midgley. They've swapped spots each and every time, and again for this 3rd restart in that exchange, Cottom getting by Midgley. Cottom now in the runner-up spot as he is still watching Carlson kind of drive away from the field. Oh boy, Beeman just gave a shot in the shorts that time.
Beeman and Frost. That continues
boy.
to be the best battle in the racetrack, DJ, as we probably look again at the leaders out in front as it is still settled with Brandon Carlson showing the way. Frost and Beeman, here they come down by the start-finish line, continuing to battle for position, but it's stretched out Frost a little bit more of a cushion as Spencer Carlson right in that battle as well in the 72C as things shaken out in front, but Kyle Cottom not quite losing touch here as the car looks like it does have some solid early run speed.
And you kind of got to wonder what Brandon Carlson's thinking here. Is he just driving just enough to keep the car out in front, watching the mirror behind him, watching where Carlson is, watching where Midgley is. Haslam right there all alone there in spot number 4, but the battle is behind him with Frost, Beeman, Carlson, Golsch. Boy, it looks like a train wreck waiting to happen right there.
It is. It's pretty much a parking lot running in single file formation, essentially. If you can imagine what that looks like, is parallel parking, but at about 140k an hour as they continue to work their way around Saratoga Speedway, clicking off laps now in the books. And Kyle Cottom not getting any smaller in the rearview mirror of the 81 of Brandon Carlson. Of course, these race cars also having spotters as well that are up in section 400 of the grandstands that are being able to give their drivers information on where they are running, how the cars are progressing here, and who is behind them, or taking a look.
Absolutely. Watching the battle still between Frost and Beeman back there in the middle of the pack. A little bit of damage there to the right front of Andy Beeman in exchange with Jason Frost. So we'll keep our eyes on that as, the top 3 once again pulling away from the rest of the field.
So Brandon Carlson trying to go wire to wire in this one, already collecting lap money for lap 25 as well as 50. And closing in on potentially lap 75 to get another $1,000 bonus for the Northern Provincial Pipelines machine. There is the best battle in the racetrack right now as we cut back to the leaders. But Mike Haslam in that 22 car. As he comes down the front straight, Jason Frost, Andy Beeman. You can see Beeman with a little bit of damage on the front of the 3 car, and Frost with some damage on the bumper cover and the left rear quarter panel, DJ, and that has been through some trading paint around this racetrack.
They just did it again there through turns 3 and 4. We are just south of 100 laps ago, 94 to be exact. It'll be 93 as they hit the line this time around, and boy, the top 3 again, they are just motoring away from Haslam, who's in 4th, Frost in 5th, Beeman, Carlson. And, oh, boy, Spencer Carlson that time a little sideways through 3 and 4, gathers it back up. He did that all by himself, no help.
Yeah, he is really having to drive that race car. As when we got back to that battle, we saw that Spencer is running pretty much a BC late model here, which is the regular car in the province of British Columbia. As he is fighting, you can see coming off at turn number 4 again, kicking the back end out on that machine. As in the next few laps, there's the lap cars, Chris Preston and David Smith. The field will start closing in on the 05 as well as the 28, and we'll see how Brandon Carlson can deal with the slower traffic with Kyle Cottom and Daryl Midgley still within striking distance.
This is where the rubber meets the road, no pun intended, as Carlson again, he's seen the lap traffic in front of him. Got to have maybe about 5 or 10 laps before he catches that lap traffic. Gives him some time to plan attack here to get by some lap traffic, as Cottom right there still kind of hanging out, but Carlson again is starting to pull away.
So Brandon Carlson, and again now the lap traffic in the same shot as the leader of this race. Kyle Cottom, though, doing the best he can to try and wheel that 4 car. No stranger to running well down south as well. Regular at South Sound Speedway. Probably going to be joining you guys a little bit later on in the season for your 200-lap race that you have there coming up on August 1st. Also could potentially see the Midgley camp as Preston slow off of turn number 4. We'll see if he can try and get that race car into the infield and out of harm's way.
It looks like he might do that. He's going to make a left-hand turn. Well, not right there. He's actually still on the racetrack. Still kind of going slow. He still has that thing under power somewhat, kind of cruising around as the field kind of navigates around him. As Haslam right there, boy, he's got about maybe 5 cars in front of and back of him, actually. A rear-view mirror full of 5 cars right there with Jason Frost, Andy Beeman, Spencer Carlson, Christopher Kolsch, and Jason Robinson. And Frost does pull off the track right there.
Yeah, so the 28 car off the racetrack is there is, again, that great battle with Spencer Carlson trying to take a look to the inside of Andy Beeman going into turn number 1. Frost able to pull away a little bit from that 3 car and is now starting to try and reel in the 22 machine of Mike Haslam, who has the spot, 4th spot that is, as they continue to lap around Saratoga Speedway. Beeman's car looks like it is not quite happy here with the run. It was trying to challenge, looked like he was going to come up through the field, but unfortunately falling off just a little bit is Brandon Carlson clearing Dave Smith to put the 05 car a lap down as he sets his sights through the dogleg.
About a 2-second gap right now between Brandon Carlson and Kyle Cottom. About the same back to the 3rd spot of the 81M of Daryl Midgley, and it's about a half a track back to Mike Haslam there in 4th, along with Jason Frost. As Andy Beeman now, he's got Spencer Carlson right now to deal with. Spencer Carlson kind of knocking on the rear door, trying to get by him.
And that is going to be in just a few laps' time. The battle that is directly in front here, race leader, as they are getting really racy for the final few spots in the top 10 at the tail end of this field. And Cottam now trying to make his way to the inside of David Smith to try and put the Shockwave 05 a lap down, almost making a little bit of contact off of 4. That's going to slow Cottam's run up just a little bit as he takes 1 or 2 laps more to try and get around. A little bit of smoke potentially from a locked right front from Cottam that time by. Is there you can see the 81 of Brandon Carlson continuing to extend his advantage over the rest of the field with Daryl Midgley hoping to use that lap traffic. Preston into the pit area, and you can see the hood is off of the 28 machine.
Jeff Robinson now just about a half a straightaway in front of Brandon Carlson. Carlson's going to have about, looks like 6 or 7 cars to deal with, trying to get on by. This is going to give Kyle Cottam a chance maybe to close in on the rear bumper of Brandon Carlson. We're going to find out here in about 3 or 4 laps.
And this is going to be that challenge as he comes off at turn number 4, trying to close in on that back end of the field. How he will negotiate that lap traffic in the 81C. It is entirely up to the man behind the wheel, but now he's got a almost straightaway advantage to Kyle Cottam running back in second with Midgley in third.
Next time by, we're going to be halfway through this race. It's going to be 75 laps down, 75 to go as, boy, it's been all Brandon Carlson from the get-go. He was your quick qualifier last night. He drew the number 1 pill to start on the pole for this race here, and he has led every single lap of this race thus far, and doesn't look like the handling is going anywhere. He has been on full kill from the get-go here, as he is now coming up on the 72 of Jeff Robinson to put him a lap down. Next it'll be Christopher College, Spencer Carlson. Let's see how he navigates through all this.
And the spotter of Jeff Robinson and all of these drivers is going to be letting them know that the leader is closing in on him, and closing in a hurry for the 81 machine. Is Christopher College going to be the next car up in front of Carlson for him to put a lap down, continuing to click off through the field, and we've not really seen too much fall off as Carlson seems to be catching these cars just in the right spot.
That's right, Christopher College running in the 8th spot, so Brandon Carlson going to be lapping up into almost the top 5 here shortly if it stays green. Boy, he has definitely got the setup underneath that machine tonight as Carlson, boy, he has definitely wanted this control this race from the get-go, and he is getting it right now.
And we'll see again, pretty stacked up battle for positions. His brother in the 72 car directly in front of him is going to go a lap down at the hands of older brother Brandon in the next few laps. We'll see how things shake out with that as he closes in. Jason Frost, another team member with the 81F directly in front of that, and Mike Haslam, who's running in fourth, the final car in that train that lies directly in front of your leader. As Cottam is pretty much gapped Midgley as well by the same margin that Carlson has over your second place driver. And it has been all Northern Provincial Pipelines all the time so far. You mentioned, though, DJ, Brandon having Chuck Carruthers in the pit area as well, a very experienced crew chief who now lives in Welcome, North Carolina, former Truck Series crew chief, and definitely some right tweaks on that one, as well as the Jefferson Race Cars team that they got that chassis off of.
He definitely has the backing behind him. He's got the personnel behind him, and it's showing tonight as Brandon Carlson gets by his brother Spencer to put him a lap down. Andy Beeman's going to be the next victim to go 1 lap in arrears. Andy Beeman currently running in 6th. My goodness, I tell you, Brandon Carlson just setting the pace that nobody can match right now, as the caution flag is going to fly. And let's see here. I believe, well, I don't want to speak too soon. We usually have competition cautions that come out every 40 consecutive green flag laps, so I'm kind of wondering if that could be the case, and actually it is. The last last restart we had was back on lap 42, and this is lap 82, so this is a competition caution.
So as, again, DJ mentioned, that's the situation with the Northwest Super Late Model Series. Is David Smith going to pull the 05 car into the pit area after getting lapped in that machine. And, again, Chris Preston in the 28 having some tough luck, and believe that we're going to go down to Todd Lewis. Is Chris Preston getting ready to head back out on the racetrack?
Yeah, guys, they spent the last little while on Chris Preston's car trying to determine where the leak was, if there was any. They spent so much time trying to clean up the fluid, make sure that everything was still tight. It seems that when he slows down, the car overheats. So I guess the best medicine is to keep it up at speed, but they spent a lot of time, did not find anything that was causing a real problem, so they are sending him back out once again.
So Chris Preston able to get back out on the racetrack with a unique situation there with Chris having the car slow down, and that's probably what we saw under yellow. And then as the car gets back up to speed and gets some air through that front air dam, it kind of helps cool it off.
He definitely does has that don't give up attitude, that's for sure. He kind of went into the pits here about 2 times and going to bring him back out onto the racetrack. I tell you what, Cole, let's go through the running order here. Just north of the halfway point, Brandon Carlson is your leader. Kyle Cottom running second. Then it's Darrell Midgley in third. Mike Haslam there in fourth. Jason Frost, that's your top 5. Then 6 through 10 is Andy Beeman, Spencer Carlson, Christopher Kolsch, Jeff Robinson, David Smith, and then Chris Preston. And only one DNF so far. That is Darrell Crocker, who went on lap number 18. So far this race, we've had 4 cautions and 1 red flag, and we've only had 1 leader, and it's been Brandon Carlson right there. That is your mid-race report, sponsored by Nautical Marine.
And you can see some frantic work going on down there in David Smith's pit area, and Todd Lewis standing by as the crew working on that 05 machine.
Guys, you see the crew working feverishly on the 05 car of David Smith. It's a broken power steering belt, so they're trying to make repairs as quickly as possible and then return him back out into the battle.
So swapping out that power steering for David Smith and getting that belt, trying to get back on. You can see the crew of the Shockwave 05 out there, and that makes these cars extremely hard to drive out here, especially at a racetrack where you're up on the wheel like Saratoga.
And you got to give it to David Smith. He been running the entire schedule in the ARCA Menards West Series. Just ran last weekend or the week before at Tri-City Raceway down there, and I guess he is famous for being the oldest driver to lead a lap with the series. He led some laps earlier this year at Tucson. And, boy, David Smith, he definitely has got some accomplishments throughout his storied career.
And he is a driver who, you mentioned qualifying here to the fans that were gathered for the John G.R. Edgett Memorial Pole Award night here, as you get a look inside of the 05 car at David Smith and see just all the safety apparatus that these race cars have. If you're tuning in and not familiar with super late model racing, you can see the full containment seat. You can see the air hose blowing cool air out of the right side of the machine for David Smith as the window net looks like it's going to come down, and as David conversing with the crew down there in the infield, and unfortunately doesn't look like that David Smith potentially could be restarting, but still, strange things have happened. Crew's got the hood down on the race car and just checking things over and seeing what they want to do, and potentially if they can get that 05 car to tail at the back end of the field.
One of the accolades for David Smith, he is actually a Victoria Auto Racing Hall of Fame inductee. As a car builder, he's built cars for Roy Smith and Herschel McGriff, just to name a couple of drivers as well. So good to have David Smith out here with us today.
And definitely some legendary names. Touch on Roy Smith. We were talking about the G.R. Edgett Memorial Pole Award. That was Roy's car owner from when he won Winston West Series championship in 1982. There's a tribute to the championship winning car in the beer gardens here at Saratoga this weekend, and it paced the field last night for some of our support categories for the Kennedy Classic weekend as the field doubles up. Looks like it's going to be Brandon Carlson starting on pole once again, your race leader, choosing the inside of the racetrack. Kyle caught him on the outside, and the last time it resulted in the donut marks on the side of both of their race cars that they restarted side by side.
I'm going to watch Kyle Cottom and Darrell Midgley here on this restart again. The last 3 previous restarts, they've exchanged the spot. We'll see if this can happen for the 4th time here as we come back to this restart here with 68 laps to go beyond the halfway point. As they're going to be approaching the Nautical Marine restart zone this time up at turn number 4. Carlson about ready to put it through the floorboard this time as the green flag is about ready to fly. There it is. We're back underway. And again, Midgley to the inside of Cottom. Looks like they might exchange the spot again.
Contact off of 2. Rooted out of the way for Cottom, who got in the off-camera area. Turn number 4, Frost diving to the inside of him, but Cottom able to cover as Haslam really backed up the outside lane. And the 22 car falls back to 5th and allowing the 81F of Jason Frost to get up into the 4th position. But up front again, it is still Brandon Carlson with Midgley now, as you mentioned, continuing the crisscross on restarts with Cottom.
Absolutely, Midgley now. He's been setting some fast lap times here earlier in the race. I'm watching Jeff Robinson in the back. Looks like he's got some overheating issues. He got some water spraying out the top of the hood there. Keep an eye on that. But Midgley out there in second ahead of Cottom. Let's see if they can team up and kind of catch Brandon Carlson, who right now has already put about 5 or 6 car lengths on both of those drivers.
And we saw as the run went on that Cotham's car looked better than Midgley's, and Cottam closing right back up on Darrell, who used pretty much every single bit of the racetrack going into turn number 2 to try and get back in front of that 4-car. Jason Frost able to get in front of Mike Haslam to get that position. Frost's car was tracking in the right direction prior to that yellow flag, and now utilizing that restart to get by the 22.
Yeah, the black flag was issued there to the 72 of Jeff Robinson. We saw it on the screen there heading into turn 1. He also has some Old Faithful issues going on, as he's probably going to park it right there in the pit area and going to be maybe a spectator for the rest of this race. As Brandon Carlson, boy, he has got the lead out. Let's see, the gap is right around almost 2 seconds already, as we're only 5 laps into this restart.
So Darrell Midgley feeling the pressure from Kyle Cottam in that 4-car. So they continue to go back and forth, and Cottam really waiting just for the moment that he can try and land a pass on Darrell Midgley, as it continues to be the Brandon Carlson show. And man, oh man, if he can pull this one off, it is going to be a big moment for the driver that has one previous super late model main event win. That was at the Western 150 in the final year of Western Speedway down in Victoria, British Columbia, where he took out the win in his first super late model main event win. Is continuing to show the way. It is Brandon Carlson, the flagship car for the Northern Provincial Pipelines team, out in front, and continuing to extend his advantage over Darrell Midgley, as Cottam's car not looking quite as happy on this run, but seeing if potentially he can come in as the race goes on.
He is definitely keeping pace there with Darrell Midgley. Midgley, was talking about him. He makes some trips down south around to race down to Tucson during the winter months. And I tell you, Darrell Midgley, he kind of makes a name for himself down there as well, having a few races there and some successes down there as well. Got him there, still putting the pressure on him, though. He's still running in third, and then it's Frost, Haslam, and Spencer Carlson. Boy, they have a battle for themselves right there as well.
And we got a glimpse at, unfortunately, Jeff Robinson in the 72 car having some problems, and you can see the fan going into the front of that 72 car as they were fighting overheating issues at the tail end of the field. And a tough break for the driver of the 72 Ford Fusion out of Langford down at the south end of Vancouver Island, a veteran racer with a runner-up in the Canada 200 during the mid-1980s, 1984, I believe, as well as another top 5 run in that historic race that is also going to be live on Rev TV here in September at Saratoga Speedway with the BC late models. And live on Rev TV right now, Brandon Carlson continuing to show the way, but again, gap getting closer as Cottam has been able to get up on the wheel and keep the pressure on Midgley these last few laps as the tail end kicks out in the 81.
Boy, I tell you, Cottam having thoughts of getting by Midgley. I think Midgley's kind of holding up Cottam, and they only have about 53 laps to go before this one's over with, so Cottam's going to want to try to get by Midgley as fast as he can. Frost still falling back into the clutches there of Mike Haslam, along with Spencer Carlson. That's a good battle still going on right now, but Brandon Carlson out to about almost 3 seconds now as Cottam getting by Midgley that time.
And Midgley got really sideways through 3 and 4, and Cottam just said hello, thank you, and slight contact to get him out of the way. But it worked for him, as you mentioned before that moment. No time to waste now for Kyle Cottam as we approach 50 laps to go in this Kennedy Classic, the inaugural running, and Kyle Cottam will try and track down that 81 car, Brandon Carlson, who has led every single lap. Quickest car on the property, track record, trying to go for the clean sweep as we hit the 50 lap to go mark, lap 100 now on the scoreboard.
3.1 second gap right now between Carlson and Cottam. I think Cottam, the only hope he has right now is if the competition caution flies again. That should be right around lap 122, 123. So we'll keep our eyes on that, and at that point, things should get exciting if that does happen.
That'll set itself up right for a dramatic run to the finish with that competition cautions with the 40 consecutive laps. And it has been Carlson just clicking him off constantly at the front of the field as Mike Haslam started to come back to Jason Frost in the 81F. Spencer Carlson right there as well as they continue to make their way around Saratoga Speedway with the number 81 seat firmly planted and firmly pulling away from Kyle Cottam, and hasn't looked like Cottam has been able to challenge those lap times of your race leader in the 4-car.
Yeah, definitely watching the lap times is what we usually do with about 50 laps to go in any race, and see what cars fall off and what cars kind of get a little bit quicker. That last time around, Brandon Carlson with a 15.5, Kyle Cottam with a 15.6. So Carlson about a tenth of a second quicker, and you can actually see that right now. He's got about a full straightaway lead on Kyle Cottom.
I believe Spencer Carlson, if we do get a look back at the battle for the 4th position, 1 lap down, but at the tail end of this battle could still play spoilers. 72C car coming back into the running on things, but up front it is still the 81C. Brandon Carlson there is about a straightaway behind the 4C of Kyle Cottom. Midgley now really falling back, and that just kind of shows how much Cottom was getting held up, because Spencer Carlson with a big moment coming off of turn number 4 in the 72 car.
Yeah, Brandon Carlson, I think he's in a zone of all of his own. He's in a zip code all of his own right now. Is he still pulling away from Kyle Cottom? Really, the good battle on the track right now is behind Jason Frost. Frost, Haslam, Spencer Carlson, Andy Beeman, Christopher Kolsch. Those 5 drivers have been stuck together like glue, nose to tail for like the last 10 laps.
And that has been pretty much the story since the start of this thing. They have been running in that train, nose to tail. If one mistake from any of those drivers as they flash by our start-finish line cam, down in the front straight, just underneath the flag stand at Saratoga Speedway. One bobble from any of them, that could be multiple positions on the racetrack. Here as they have been locked in that spot and closing in again, and potentially where we will get into competition caution territory here with the Northwest Super Late Model Series, which could set up a run to the finish with Brandon Carlson. But we've seen he's been pretty potent on restarts as well, as Jason Frost leading that train. The 22 of Mike Haslam just behind him, seeing if Mike can potentially make a move on Jason as he continues to reel him in.
About 10 laps, a little bit more than that until the next competition caution, if we run all the way through to that lap. And that's going to give Kyle Cottom and everybody else a chance to close in on Brandon Carlson. That might be the last shot that Kyle Cottom's going to have when the competition caution flies. So he's going to have the restart of his life here pretty soon. As Brandon Carlson, he's maybe about 10 laps away from catching the back of the field once again.
And we saw, heard from Brandon that he was trying to save his tires. And we can see from some of these guys at the tail end of the field practically doing a burnout every time they come off of turn number 4. They are not happy in the rear tire department in that car. Maybe they were pushing it a little bit too hard to try and keep up the pace, and now has really fallen off. And Brandon Carlson, who we thought might have been pushing hard, could have been just saving it and just waiting for this moment to set himself up for the run to the end.
Well, about 35 laps ago, you just start seeing these cars do some things that are a little bit weird, kind of funny, things that these drivers don't want to see. Again, handling starting to go away in a lot of these cars. This time it will be 35 laps to go for Brandon Carlson. And let's see, the gap right now is just about at 3 seconds.
And 3 seconds here at Saratoga Speedway is a big margin, as this is a very tight, technically measured into 3/8 of a mile oval, but a very different racetrack at each opposite ends. You get a great shot from the camera going into turn number 1 at just how tight turns 1 and 2 are and how wide and inviting it is until it closes up on exit.
You kind of wonder, though, Kyle Cottom, he's maybe not wanting to push the issue just yet. He might know, thinking ahead, that competition caution is going to fly, so maybe he is kind of saving his stuff as well. Could be the same thing for Darrell Midgley. We won't know here until this next restart here, right around lap 120 to 125, somewhere in that range.
Got a shot there of the 2 American competitors. Thank them for coming up. Andy Beeman, Christopher Kolsch running nose to tail and battling for position, as Haslam continuing to put the pressure on Jason Frost, and they're just a few laps away from Carlson again catching up with these lap cars that are going to lie directly in front of him in the run to the finish. And with 119 laps completed on the West Shore Towing scoreboard,
I think Brandon Carlson's going to love to see that caution flag because there is no space between those 5 cars right now. They are nose to tail, and I don't think he wants to have anything to do with that battle in front of him.
It's kind of not really a win-win situation for Carlson. If he continues on, he catches a very thick battle for position lying directly in front of him, with racers wanting to trade spots, get up through the running order, get that bit bigger of a payday at the end of this race. And then on the flip side, he could have a yellow that kind of bunches up the field here for this final run to the finish, and also puts him right back in Kyle Cottom's hands for a restart.
Most definitely, as he still continues to close in on the back of the field right there. 5 cars, nose to tail, and I think he kind of might be just kind of waiting for that caution flag, the competition caution to fly. He doesn't want to get mixed up in that battle right there, as those guys are fighting hard each and every lap as the caution flag flies right there. Lap 122 with 28 laps to go.
So there it is, the competition yellow, and right as we kind of were doing our mental math, right around that 25, 28 to go mark is where it actually landed for your race leader, Brandon Carlson, who now will have to try and hold off Kyle Cottom in the 4-car on this restart. Daryl Midgley, we'll see if the trend continues. Is Midgley going to get in front of Cottom? Or is Cottom going to be able to hold him off this time? Because that is going to be the big question for this run to the finish.
Well, 28 laps to go. I got to think that nobody's going to be saving anything this time. So if Cottom and Midgley has anything for Brandon Carlson, you better show it now.
This definitely is the time to show it. The go time for Brandon Carlson in that 81C. Going to line up alongside of the 4-car of Kyle Cottom, and we'll see what line Cottom takes. If he's going to elect maybe to go to the inside of the second row, or if he's going to try and take the outside. As let's go down to Todd Lewis, who's standing by in the pit area.
Guys, so just give you a quick update on these cars that are still behind the wall. The 05 of David Smith, unfortunately, they were unable to make those repairs and that broken power steering belt, and he is done for the night. The crew continues to work to try to cool down the 72 of Jeff Robinson. He overheated, and that's what brought him back behind the wall. This has been the warmest stretch in this part of the world for quite some time, and it is overheating a lot of people and cars.
And definitely the temperature has been up there. This is the hottest we have seen it throughout the weekend at Saratoga Speedway, up in the high 20 degrees for us that use Celsius, and in the 80s for Fahrenheit users that are watching the broadcast as well down in the States on low-budget TV.
That's more like I can understand you now.
There we go. We did the conversions. We're good at mental math up here.
Thank you so much. Well, you know what? Cole, you know, these cars going through a lot. We're only 28 laps from them. They've already done 122 laps. It's a workout for a lot of these cars and for a lot of these drivers as well. So it's actually kind of no surprise we're seeing some cars kind of falling out of this race.
And you mentioned the workout. You know, they were lined up on the front straight waiting to get ready for this race at around 5:45, just so they were ready to go as we went live here on Rev TV as well as CHEK. And we mentioned down in the United States with our friends at Low Budget TV as well, and sitting in the race car, being in a hot fire suit. It's been a long tenure, and now this is when potentially mistakes can start happening if you're getting dehydrated behind the wheel or you have these long runs, have your concentration broken. You got to get up and get ready for this restart.
That's right. 28 laps to go. Should be coming back around to get the one to go here at the line. I think this is going to probably be the most important restart for a lot of these drivers. If anybody has anything for Brandon Carlson, you better make it happen right now. Kind of wonder if Brandon Carlson's kind of saving anything for the end as well. So a lot of questions still up in the air, but I think this is going to be exciting. 28 laps to go.
This is going to be one that you're definitely going to want to watch. It is Brandon Carlson in the 81 and the 4 of Kyle Cottom lined up, ready to go for the restart, getting set to come off of turn number 4, side by side, and getting set. What does Cottom have? Carlson with the advantage. Cottom going to slot in line. Midgley with Haslam way on the bottom of the racetrack and turns around the 81.
Caution flag should fly again, and it does.
Well, it was a little bit of an optimistic move from the 22 car, who was practically on the flat trying to get to the inside of Midgley, and you see the end result of that, the donut mark on the side of the 81.
You know, like we talked about 28 laps ago, you're going to want to get everything you can, as Haslam definitely going where there's no racetrack, basically, and making some more racetrack for himself.
Yeah, never usually works out, and that definitely didn't work out for Daryl Midgley in the 81M, who is going to have to be at the tail end of the field for this restart. And looks like he's going to pull the 81M into the pit area. So Daryl maybe feeling something in that race car that he didn't like, and rolling through, trying to get through to his pit area in that Provincial Pipelines Dodge Charger, as he rolls in and now maybe talking to the crew to see if he can get that car better, take advantage of the fact that he has to already go to the back and have the crew go to work.
That's right. And with, let's see, about 7 cars left in this race, he won't have a lot of cars to pass, as we like to watch the replay once again heading into 1. And, boy, Haslam put all 4 tires underneath the white line, looked like.
Definitely, yeah. That angle was not going to work out, especially when Midgley was going to turn in there, because Haslam not quite far enough up alongside of him, and didn't work out for the 81M as the 22, I believe, going to line up in the third or to be determined position for this restart as we get set again. Cottam going to have a chance to go down as we'll go down to Todd Lewis once again in the infield.
Guys, they took advantage of that yellow to bring Daryl Midgley back to his pit stall. They made a quick change on the Panhard bar. Going to be interesting to see if he's got a charge left in him in these last few remaining laps.
And that is going to be a fun run for a very angry Daryl Midgley with a considerably quicker car than he has the drivers directly in front of him in that Northern Provincial Pipelines Charger.
And I tell you, when drivers drive mad, they drive quicker, they drive with aggression. It's going to be a show, not only at the front of the field, but watch Daryl Midgley from the back of the field pick them off one at a time. And I got a feeling, Cole, we're not done with the yellow flags just yet. We kind of called it on this restart that business was going to pick up, and I think we're not done just yet.
You know, I think we're starting to see that, and it is cautions breeding cautions. We said it earlier on. We saw rash yellows to start this one out before we were able to get into that race pace, get to the first competition caution point with a 40-lap run, had two 40-lap stretches, and now shaking things up here for the restart at Saratoga Speedway as it will be Brandon Carlson once again getting pretty proficient at restarts at this point in the program. And Kyle Cottam, who pretty much just elected to get back in line directly behind of Carlson, slot in line and ride, and was content to ride and had all the chaos happen directly behind the 4-car.
Yeah, Jason Frost going to line up in the inside of row number 2 along with Mike Haslam, Spencer Carlson along with Andy Beeman in row number 3. Then it's going to be Christopher Kalish, and we're going to keep our eyes, like we talked about, on Daryl Midgley at the back of the pack.
Midgley going to be definitely one to watch. Is Haslam back in the 4th position, as I believe only 5 cars at this point on the lead lap, but Midgley having to go to the tail end of the field as he was the cause of the yellow. As the pace car going to pull in this time, we'll get ready for another restart here on lap 122, DJ.
It's time to get everything you can here with 28 laps to go. Let's try this again. Not far from the end. Caught him again on the outside. Going to try to get a good lunge on this restart. Spins the tires. We're back underway.
Jason Frost can try and use that to his advantage, but he's got several cars into the back of him. Is Cottam able to get clear? Now it's going to be Frost and Haslam drag racing for position as they get together potentially through 3 and 4. Drag race down the front straight, side by side, still for that 3rd spot. Frost sideways.
And he's going to come to a spin there in turn 1. Caution flag again going to fly, and I tell you, Cole, we are predicting some stuff here. We need to go to Vegas and put some money on black or red.
I think we are in the money-making business here for the final few laps of this race. If we were to pick up the gambling on this and how the cautions are going to fall, that was Jason Frost and Mike Haslam running as hard as they could for the final spot in the top 3 with that 22 car. In the 81, you can see as he comes by, a little bit of damage to the front valence on that machine getting pushed in, as well as a lot of donut marks, as we say, down the side of that Dodge Charger. Taking a look at the replay here, just catching the tail end of it.
And, well, let's see here. Didn't look like he had any help possibly there, Cole, by himself. He looked like he might have got into the back end of Haslam going into 1, but kind of spun on his own, maybe, possibly?
Yeah, if anything, Haslam came down just a little bit. I can see that the quarter panel kind of pushed in on the left rear of that machine, so maybe just Jason having to check up to not fully get into the back of the 22 car, and unfortunately looked like maybe potentially a little puff of smoke locking the brakes and having that car go around for the 81F and Jason Frost. So tough break for the NPP car. Going to have to go to the tail end of the field once again, as we saw, and it's going to be once more Kyle Cottam on the outside of the front row with Brandon Carlson starting up in front, getting ready to lead him to the green, and Mike Haslam going to restart in 3rd.
That's going to give Kyle Cottam another chance maybe to get Brandon Carlson on this restart. He's been given already a couple chances. So far, hasn't had anything for Brandon Carlson. Carlson has had everybody's number on these restarts with just 27 laps now to go. We'll see if Cottam, you saw in the previous restart, Cottam try to make a run on Carlson on that restart, getting the jump on him, and just didn't quite work out. We'll see what happens here as they come into the Nautical Marine restart zone this time. 27 laps to go off of turn number 4. Green flag, flying again, and Cottam's got it.
Cottom with the jump, trying to clear Carlson, and Kyle Cottom will get the lead momentarily, but goes up the hill. Here comes Carlson to the inside as Cottom tries to close the door. Carlson, Midgley making contact back in the pack, but the battle is for the lead. Here comes the 81 back to the inside.
Oh, it is on here at Saratoga Speedway as Carlson and Cottom. Here comes Haslam, going to poke his nose in the mix. Contact between Cottom that time and Haslam. That's going to let Carlson kind of drive away from the field here.
And Mike Haslam coming into the final few stages of this one is Christopher Kolsch in the 33 car. Gonna go around, and man, oh man, continuing to literally knock one lap off at a time at this point in time as the yellows keep flying, and Carlson almost lost it on that restart.
It's kind of like a close NBA game. The last 2 minutes of the game takes about a half hour to go, half an hour to complete, and no difference here in this race. 26 laps now to go, 124 in the books, and Kyle Cottom got something there for Brandon Carlson on that last restart.
And that was the first time we saw the 81C not really take off on the restart. Car just stepped out on Brandon as soon as he got in the power. Cottom's car on the outside able to carry a little bit more roll speed through 3 and 4 and able to get in front momentarily of the 81C as we get a look at the replay on that restart. And you can see that Brandon just did not fire off, and Cottom able to clear him for a moment, but maybe just drove it in a little too deep into 1.
Kind of tried to make that hairpin turn down there in turns 1 and 2, and Cottom had it going through the dogleg, heading back into 3 and 4, as you can see, but Carlson just kind of stuck in there, stuck his nose right there underneath, and got right on by. So we'll see if Cottom has anything again. And I tell you who's been aggressive on these restarts, the 22 of Haslam.
And Haslam, we mentioned, could be a factor in this one. If any of them get stacked up, we see he's not afraid to try and do the dramatic move to try and get himself up there. It worked for him on the 2 prior restarts. We'll see what he has here for the field and the inside of row number 2. But up front, the story between Kyle Cottom and Brandon Carlson as we get set to go green once again.
Restart time again here with 26 laps to go. We are inching closer to the completion of this race. Coming up at turn 4, green flag back in the air. We are dead even at the line that time.
Into turn number 1 and 2. You can see Carlson trying to run Cottom up the hill just a little bit as Cottom tries to clear in front of Haslam through the dog leg. Haslam had a look, but not able to get quite close enough as Cottom settles back in behind of Carlson, and Carlson now able to try and drive away with 125 laps completed here at Saratoga Speedway.
You can see definitely where Carlson is beating Cottom that each and every corner. He actually has that drive coming off the corner each and every time, as Cottom now has his hands full. He's got a rear view mirror full of the 22 of Mike Haslam to deal with before this race is over with.
And it is Kyle Cottom, but now feeling the heat from the 22 of Mike Haslam. Haslam up on the wheel and really showing what the 22 car is made of, up trying to stick with that second place spot and trying to get himself in a position for the run to the finish. Is the 3 car back just outside Andy Beeman into the 4th position through pretty much attrition at this point, with Spencer Carlson in the 72C running in the 5th spot.
Andy Beeman from Selah, Washington, all battered and bruised up right there in the top 5 right now. If he can stay right there, it'll be a good night for Andy Beeman. Spencer Carlson there in 5th. He's in the top 5, but you still have Midgley, you still have Frost trying to make their way through the field from the back of the pack.
So up front, Brandon Carlson now back in familiar territory, not having the stress of having to hold off the field with the restart, able to click off laps at the head of the pack and trying to stretch his advantage for this final run to the flag as we close in on 20 laps to go, and 20 laps to go it will be off at turn number 4 this time.
Second place, Cottom. He is not driving away from Haslam. I think Haslam has something for Cottom here in these last 20 laps before this one's over with. Haslam trying to get in that runner-up spot.
So Brandon Carlson trying to hang on. Yellow flag is out. Jason Frost, the 81 car, going around with 20 laps left to run. And what does Brandon Carlson have here for this restart? So it sounds like Christopher Kolsch may be making some contact with the 81F. Jason Frost going into turn number 1 and going to go back with that 20 laps still left to run.
Well, Brandon Carlson's wondering, what do I have to do to get this race over with? Caution after caution after caution. Let's look at the stat sheet here. Since lap 122, we've had 5 cautions, which we kind of, oh boy, Christopher Kolsch. There goes the front bumper right there. Someone's going to get a souvenir tonight.
Yeah, Jason Frost and Christopher Calls just pretty much tried wrecking each other under yellow, and you can see the front bumper cover on the front straight. As we mentioned, the heat is on tonight. The tempers are flaring, and I think for at least one of these drivers, it might be end of the race for a little bit of retaliation under yellow.
Looks like Haslam got a piece of it as well. He's actually carrying some debris under his car. So bits and pieces of Christopher Kolsch's car kind of strewn out the front stretch here and on some of these drivers' cars.
And Mike Haslam, yeah, you can see some damage to the front of the 22 cars. So a lot of cars getting shaken up here in this last run to the flag. Call's going to pull into the pit area with the front end completely ripped off of the 33 car. And one of the more interesting moments is the crew going to run over to try and get the fender off of that race car. Tough break for Chris Kolsch and Jason Frost, who they got together, and unfortunately some damage to the front end of that machine, and you can see the front end, the shroud pretty much ripped off as well, and some pretty serious damage to the front of Kolsch's car.
So as they're working on the number 33, the Christopher Kolsch here in the pit area, we can turn our attention now to our leader, Brandon Carlson. Kyle Cudham has taken shots at him the last 3 previous restarts. We'll see if Cudham has anything up his sleeve for this one here. He is running out of ideas, I will tell you that right now.
He has had plenty of opportunities to think, and I think he is getting low in the thoughts department on what he can potentially do to get around. Brandon Carlson is the front end completely ripped off of Chris Kolsch's car. It looks like they are going to elect to push that one back into the pit area. So a tough break for Chris Kolsch, and it'll be Brandon Carlson. Same restart lineup as last restart. Kyle caught him back in second, and Mike Haslam in third. Had a little bit of debris on the front of the 22 car. Looks like it's cleaned itself off on the trip around the racetrack. And the safety team making its way back into the pit area. Looks like Kolsch's car going to roll back out onto the racetrack. So Kolsch looking like potentially able to return once the officials take a look at the front end of that car, and maybe electing to say that there is not enough left on the front end and to head back into the infield. As Jason Frost also back into the infield, getting set for a restart.
Well, Cole, do you think we're done yet with the caution flags?
I thought we were done about 2 or 3 restarts ago, but they keep proving me wrong, as Brandon Carlson in that 81C, continuing to try and get this race over with. 20 laps is all that is left here in this Kennedy Classic, as trying to get the final few positions set. Jason Frost pulling in the 81F, window net coming down. The glove's going to come off, and he'll get ready to climb out of that race car after a long, not quite 150 laps for the Northern Provincial Pipelines Charger.
To me, I think it's going to be Brandon Carlson's race to lose. I think he's got the speed on the entire field. It's just a matter of can he get the jump on Kyle Cudham on these restarts here. Cudham gets out in front. You know Kyle Cudham's going to make that car as wide as possible, and I think Kyle Cudham can only hold off Brandon Carlson for so long.
So Frost with the helmet off down to the infield, but getting ready for a restart here back on track as they get to the Choose V, and that is going to be the 81C out in front with the number 4. That is Kyle Cudham on the high side of the racetrack. 22 of Mike Haslam in the inside of row number 2 alongside Andy Beeman, in a very truncated field for this restart as the survivors, the only ones left in the racetrack as they come to get the 1 to green.
A lot of these drivers are kind of seeing red right now. They're seeing $10,000 within their grasp. You got a feeling they're going to do anything they can to put their car in victory lane. I think Haslam and Cudham is going to be those 2 drivers is going to try to do anything they can to make this happen. It's going to come down to the Nautical Marine restart zone again with 20 laps to go. Off of turn number 4, green flag is going to be flying this time. There it is. We're back underway.
And contacts. Yeah, as Mike Haslam down in the back gets into Carlson. Haslam into the back of Carlson, spins your leader. Spencer Carlson involved, Daryl Midgley involved, and Beeman also getting a heavy piece of it as Mike Haslam with the entire side ripped off of the 22 car. Unfortunately, in these last few restarts, has pretty much hit everything that moves on the property.
Yeah, I think Mike Haslam on that restart, he kind of triggered that whole thing and took out just about every single car, maybe except for one, Kyle caught him. And I'm sure we'll have a replay on this one here to see exactly what happened. But Cole, when do you want to go to Vegas?
We've stacked our odds. Brandon Carlson in the 81 car kind of stopped on top of his brother Spencer's number 72 machine. Daryl Midgley with some pretty serious damage. Haslam with damage in the 22. Kyle caught him, pretty much the only car on the racetrack without a fender ripped off at this point. Spencer Carlson out of the 72 car and walking over to Brandon Carlson here is the replay with Carlson leading him back to the green.
Contact, I think, there with Cottom and the 22 there with Haslam, and Haslam again trying to turn the corner. He just couldn't do it. He clips Carlson and clips Cottom. Cottom is able to drive away, but everybody else kind of gets stacked up behind that.
As unfortunately the Demolition Derby continues for the final stages of this race. Another shot of the restart is cutting away there and getting a look at the dejected 81 crew at the top end of the grandstand. There is another shot of some of our camera locations here at Saratoga Speedway, and the Northern Provincial Pipelines crew not happy at the end result of that one, as there's another look at the contact. You can see Haslam getting some serious damage from Beeman, who rode up the side of Haslam in that 22 car. Pace car going to go out now as they're still working on the best way to try and get Brandon Carlson turned around in the right direction. Spencer Carlson getting shoved into it by Midgley. Midgley able to restart, but a very, very tough situation over there in turn number 2 as the tow truck going to get into position with Spencer Carlson in that 72 car kind of wedged underneath of Brandon Carlson in the 81. Brandon staying into the race, in the race car rather, by the looks of things, as the Eagle Eye Towing tow truck going to get into position. The E360 sweep crew over there as well, and Kyle Cottom going to lead the field back to the green flag.
As the red flag's going to fly this time, I'm watching Andy Beam in the pit area as well. He looked like he was getting back in the car. He's back out of the car. Tough break for Andy Beeman. He had a great run going with all the stuff he was going through this entire race. Looks like he's going to park it for the rest of the night as well. So caution flag, actually red flag on the track right now. You can see right in front of us Mike Haslam. Boy, he talking about a car that's all beaten and banged up right now. The right rear corner of that car is almost non-existent, if you will.
And you can see Carlson still in the race car, as still some very heavy damage to Spencer Carlson, as we will take this moment to step away for one final break before the run to the finish here in the Kennedy Classic at Saratoga Speedway.
Did you know Arctic Spas is more than just hot tubs? We've got a wide selection of all-weather pools, saunas, and cold plunges to complete your personal spa experience. Arctic Spas, whatever your wellness, find it at Arctic Spas, Vancouver Island.
Archie Johnstone Plumbing and Heating, a full-service mechanical contractor since 1954. From emergency service to preventative maintenance, commercial to residential. Archie Johnstone Plumbing and Heating. We're plumb serious about plumbing. Visit us at ajph.com.
For those families that are worried about their loved ones and how they can age in place, by choosing Cherish, where aging in place is possible, and actually not only possible, but encouraged, is a relief. It's a burden that can be taken off, knowing that your loved one can be taken care of right here. The support that Cherish has given to people to allow them to stay here is more valuable than just about anything when it comes to our families.
At One Stop Furniture and Mattress, customer service is number one. Relax with our knowledgeable non-commissioned sales staff. We have high-quality, Canadian-made furniture for every room in your home. Living room, dining room, home office, and bedroom, including mattresses and adjustable beds. Unique and customizable. Choice of style, fabric, leather, wood stain, and hardware. Plus, unique accessories for that special finishing touch.
One Stop Furniture and Mattress,
where you're number one.
Victoria, get ready. On June 20th, Champ Promotions ignites the ring for an electric night of non-stop combat. The stakes have never been higher as we crown a champion in the WBF title fight. Don't just hear about the knockout, witness it live. Get your tickets at champpromotions.com.
Here at CHEK, we're not always stuck behind a desk.
We like to join the party.
How much do you love getting to live right here?
We connect to the community.
We make sure everyone's included, no matter where you are.
So why do we do all this?
Because we live here and we love this place.
Well, cleanup finishing here at Saratoga Speedway, getting ready for a restart, and Brandon Carlson pulled alongside of Mike Haslam under red and told him that he's not getting a Christmas card from him coming up this year.
Yeah, I think he also told him his dinner is at 8 o'clock tonight, so come to my house later on tonight. It was kind of animated there as well. They were kind of shaking their fists at each other, and I think perhaps they were kind of giving each other some sign language as well, which is, kind of common at racetracks.
Getting a look here through some of the highlights through this race so far. You can see Haslam getting into Midgley, turning him around, and then Haslam making contact with Frost, turning him around. And then a little bit still more of a stack up, getting set for this restart. This was the one where Cottam almost cleared him, but drove it a little bit too hard going into turn one, and Carlson able to get back around. Some heavy damage to the Northern Provincial Pipelines 81C as we get ready for a restart here, potentially, as it is going to be a tight run to the flag with still 20 laps left to run. Spencer Carlson's car needs to be brought off of the racetrack. As you can see, some fans up at the fence telling Mike Haslam probably that he's not a fan favorite either on the front straight. Some heavy damage, too, that Mike's going to have to try and overcome in that 22 car.
So looking at Brandon Carlson's car right now on the front stretch, kind of looking to see the damage right now to the that number 81 car. Damage right there on the right side door, but I'm kind of wondering if there's any more damage besides that, kind of maybe affect the car when we go back to some green flag racing with 20 laps to go. In other words, I'm trying to kind of think if Brandon Carlson can come from the back of the pack and make his way forward here with only maybe about 3 or 4 cars to pass.
Well, it will be a short charge through the field for Brandon. We'll see what he can do to try and shake up these final few laps, as Kyle Cottam's going to pretty much try and run away with things at the front of the field, and that is going to be what we are going to see from Brandon Carlson. Is Spencer Carlson able to get the 72 car back up and running after being wedged underneath the 81C, getting ready to hopefully lift this red flag as everything is cleaned up and getting set for the run to the finish. Safety teams are off of the racetrack, just waiting on the yellow to be lifted here in the front straight. As time winding down here at Saratoga Speedway, and it is going to be the 4 of Kyle Cottam leading them back to the green when the yellow is brought back out.
Definitely got some drivers that are going to be taking advantage of the attrition here. You see Christopher Kalish, front end almost non-existent as he is parked right here in front of us on the front stretch. He's definitely looking to get a good finish here with the attrition factor in play, and along with the number 72 there as well. And, he's kind of beaten and battered as well there. Spencer Carlson is what I'm talking about. Looks like he's going to try to take advantage of the attrition. The one that I'm going to be kind of taking a look at is Mike Haslam. The right rear corner of that car is not looking too good. Kind of wonder if there's any kind of suspension damage to that machine.
Yeah, probably not going to be handling the best for Haslam, as Chris Kalish able to make it back out on the racetrack for the restart. As we get ready to go back green, and by the looks of things and how they're lining up, Carlson at the head of the field, potentially.
Yeah, it looks like they felt like he was kind of wronged there on that restart, so they're going to give him the spot back. The big question is, how is the handling of that car after being that skirmish? Andy Beeman is climbing back in his car. He's making his way back onto the racetrack right now.
So looks like Midgley trying to slot to the inside of Haslam for this restart, as well as he is pulling up alongside. Haslam going to get docked potentially to the final spot on the lead lap, as still fenders, tempers, everything else can fly. Still with 20 laps left to run, Haslam going to try and take his position as Midgley crowding him big time, as this is going to be an interesting attempt at a restart. Going to come back to the 1 to green sign. Here is Midgley continuing to crowd that 22 car of Mike Haslam, and they are arguing for real estate under yellow.
20 laps to go, Cole, and I hate to say this, but I really wanted to run to the end, but I kind of have my doubts here. The way they're already argue with each other on the pace lap here. As we are ready to go here. 20 to go.
Yeah, they don't have to worry about scratching the paint. None of these cars have to worry about scratching the paint or messing up the wrap. Here we go. Green flag back out is Brandon Carlson. Mike Haslam with Daryl Midgley slotting in behind him as they make their way off of turn number 2, and it is the 81 Brandon Carlson streaking away from the field with Kyle Cotton back in second. Haslam now settles into third with Midgley in fourth as they try to get this run to the finish, the final few laps in the run to the finish completed.
Any doubts to the 81 there, Brandon Carlson, any damage to that thing? It's not showing one bit, so probably most likely just cosmetic damage as they come across the line with 18 laps to go. Carlson now starting to streak away from the rest of the field. Kyle Cotton trying to hold off Mike Haslam there for second.
So Kyle Cotton, his car looking like it's going a little bit south. Haslam trying to run through in the 22 car as he puts the pressure on the 4 machine, but it is Brandon Carlson showing the way out at the front of the field, finally clicking off some laps. 17 laps left to run now for Brandon Carlson in that machine as he continues to make his way through the dogleg and stretch out his advantage, and Haslam continuing to put the pressure on the 4 car of Kyle Cotton with Daryl Midgley lurking just in the background of that 81 car at the front of the field.
Watching the 22 there of Haslam, he is kind of working some different lines right now as he now is going to the inside, pokes the nose to the inside, going through the dogleg on Cotton. Falls back in line. Smart move right there as that battle for second still goes on.
And Cotton's car looks like it is really not working for him coming off at 2, especially as Brandon Carlson, the damage in the 81C looking like it is not holding him back at all with 15 laps left to run. Make it 14 at the line for the 81C of Brandon Carlson as he continues to pull away from Cotton, who is fighting hard to try and keep that 22 car at bay with the side flapping off of it.
Keep in mind, second place is worth $5,000. I think Haslam knows that, and he might try to do anything he can to get by Cotton there. And it's going to be pretty much go time. It's going to get physical, I got to believe, between these two drivers with 13 laps to go.
As Kyle Cotton still trying to hold off the 22 of Haslam, still taking plenty of peaks. Midgley just riding back in that 4th spot. Fender flapping off of the 81 car is Brandon Carlson trying to run away and hide out at the front of the field and go wire to wire in this one to lead all 150 laps. If he can do it, it's going to be one heck of a payday with all of the lap money. The Edgett family also putting up $200 for the leader of 5 respective laps throughout this race, and Brandon Carlson could very well be in that point.
Haslam again squares up the turn, coming off of turn number 2, gets the run into the dogleg on Cotton, heading back into 3 and 4. Haslam doing everything he can with 10 laps to go here at the line to get by Cotton for second.
So it is the 81C still showing the way, but Cotton able to get at least about a 2 or 3 car length cushion as the run goes on. Haslam's car seems like it falls off as Cotton continuing to push through off of turn number 4. The lap count continuing to go down. 8 laps left. Jeff Robinson, who was back out on the racetrack briefly, has pulled the 72 car back into the pit area trying to get some laps under the books and trying to get up the running order for that 72 car as Brandon Carlson trucking away a straightaway in front of the battle for second, rapidly developing with 8 laps left.
Watching the lap times right now, Brandon Carlson 15.6 second laps, about a tenth of a second quicker that time by Kyle Cotton. So right now Carlson's got this one, I don't want to say in the bag, but it'll be his race to lose if it doesn't happen. As Haslam and Cotton, boy, that battle's not going anywhere. Again, Haslam scores up the turn, that time coming off a 2, gets the run down the backstretch into the dogleg, heading back into 3 and 4. You kind of wonder if Haslam might get a little physical here in these last few laps to get that second spot away from Cotton.
We'll see what the 22 has up his sleeve as Brandon Carlson trying to just get these few laps under his belt. 5 laps is all that's left as Kyle Cotton, 1 slip up, and Mike Haslam's going to move in to position to challenge for that second spot. He is all over his rear bumper as they continue to work their way around Saratoga Speedway. Haslam almost with a run through the dogleg this time, but can't quite do it with 4 laps left.
4 laps to go it is there, Cole. Carlson's got it right now by about 2 seconds as he is driving away from Cotton. That battle's still going on between Cotton and Haslam. Haslam might start getting a little urgency going on here to get that second spot away. It's worth $5,000. Third place is worth $3,000. That's a big pay cut for Haslam. He's going to want it here as he took a look to the inside that time, going into 1 and 2.
Especially for the 2 Canadians, that's going to go up sizably once the exchange comes through. But just 2 laps left for Brandon Carlson as the crowd pumped up to see if the 81C can close as Mike Haslam still putting the pressure on the 4 of Cottam now. This time trying to take a peek through the dogleg. Can't quite do it, but the white flag is out, DJ. 1 lap left.
White flag is flying as the hanky is flying in the air. 1 more lap to go. There's the battle in front of us, heading back into 1 and 2. Has him to the inside that time. Makes the left-hand turn. Can't get it done. Meanwhile, up front, coming off of turn number 4, it's going to be Brandon Carlson, your inaugural winner of the Kennedy Classic 150 here at Saratoga Speedway.
Brandon Carlson goes wire to wire in the 81C and gets the win as Kyle Cottam will finish in second. Mike Haslam in third in a wild final 28 laps that took probably about the same amount as the race to finish. Is Mike Haslam rolling up alongside of Brandon Carlson and giving him the hang loose sign, maybe trying to say sorry for that contact as he comes by, and definitely, though, worked out with Brandon Carlson, who was able to still pull it off as he pulls the 81C. And we'll have a short commercial break, come back and talk to your winner, Brandon Carlson, here for the Kennedy Classic.
Did you know Arctic Spas is more than just hot tubs? We've got a wide selection of all-weather pools, saunas, and cold plunges to complete your personal spa experience. Arctic Spas, whatever your wellness, find it at Arctic Spas, Vancouver Island.
At Prince of Wales, we're always committed to conservation and connecting our guests to the Salish Sea. We support research projects, education initiatives, and sustainable marine tourism, leaving you with memories for a lifetime.
It's a messy world. Every day, a new stain tougher than the last. Only one can safely remove them the first time. OxyClean, a force against stains.
The pileated woodpecker is heard and seen in forests across Canada.
The largest of its kind in North America, it pecks, hammers, and chisels trees to communicate, make nests and shelter, and gain access to food. It's a great defense against the invasive emerald ash borer beetle, and the cavities it creates provide shelter for many other creatures. To learn more about the pileated woodpecker, visit hww.ca.
Fight crime without revealing your identity. CHEK brings you Crime Stoppers, Wanted.
Vasanio McFarlane is 22 years old. He's 5'8", 146 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. He's wanted for breach of order and assault.
If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers. Callers are not asked to reveal their names, and you can earn a cash reward for information leading to an arrest. Crime Stoppers is proudly supported by CHEK and CREST, connecting emergency services in the capital region.
Summer perfection awaits at the Bayside. Picture oceanfront views, award-winning dining, poolside bliss. One unforgettable escape designed just for you. The Bayside Oceanfront Resort, Parksville. Your perfect summer is waiting. Book today.
Being local is special to me because I get to see the impact that it makes in the community and the people who are building the city. Partnering with other local businesses allows us to grow because we are greater together.
Power your future with OceanVolt. We're leading the charge with our fully electric fleet and tools, providing solar panels, EV chargers, and battery storage, keeping your home powered day and night. OceanVolt, your clean energy experts.
Welcome back to Saratoga Speedway. The Kennedy Classic concluding in spectacular fashion. Brandon Carlson winning the run to the finish, and DJ just a very wild final few laps.
As it is with most super late model races, usually calm through the first 3 quarters of the race, but business picks up usually in the last 30 laps. And we saw it right here at Saratoga Speedway tonight, but what a perfect weekend for Brandon Carlson. He picked up the fast time last night, led every lap here tonight, and $10,000 the win.
And your winner is down right now with Todd Lewis.
Tangled with another in corner number 2. Now he is climbing out victorious at Saratoga Speedway at the inaugural Kennedy Classic. What a drive. What a win. It looked like you were almost on cruise control for about 100 laps, but then it got pretty crazy at the end.
Oh boy, it picked up. Business picked up with 20 to go like we were talking about. We had an incredible race car. Just kept our head on straight, kept the tires under it. Dad did a great job coaching me, and we just, executed our game plan. The number one pill you helped me with had paid off. And then, 20 laps from the end, it got racy, and I get it, it's go time. Nobody likes getting turned around, though. But, Mike was super respectful the second restart, and I think we got some damage. The wheel was about a half a turn off, but we just held on and kept the forward driving it and got the W.
You might need a few body panels too, but congratulations, winner here at Saratoga Speedway in the Kennedy Classic.
Brandon Carlson, after a long 150 laps, gets the trophy. The congratulations from his family and the crew here at Saratoga Speedway in the inaugural Kennedy Classic trophy. His wife Amanda coming in, as well as the rest of the Carlson family as they get ready for trophy presentations. It was an eventful run to the finish here at Saratoga Speedway. Plenty of wild moments right from the get-go, and definitely in the last half of this race, things ramped up. But Brandon Carlson goes 150 laps wire to wire to emerge victorious as the winner of the inaugural Kennedy Classic. From everyone with our team at Rev TV, Roll Focus Productions, CHEK, and Low Budget TV, we thank you for joining us in this live broadcast of the inaugural Kennedy Classic, and wish you a good night from Black Creek, British Columbia.
Did you know Arctic Spas is more than just hot tubs? We've got a wide selection of all-weather pools, saunas, and cold plunges to complete your personal spa experience. Arctic Spas, whatever your wellness, find it at Arctic Spas, Vancouver Island.
The following program has been provided with descriptive video for the visually impaired.